What if I told you that the reason some clinicians are fully booked, getting quoted in major media, and building authority online isn't because they're more talented? It's because they're building intentional visibility. If you've ever thought, I'd love to be featured somewhere, but I have no idea how, or I don't even know what I would pitch, this episode is going to completely reframe that for you. Today, we're talking to Jocelyn Wood about media pitching, not as a one time hustle, but as a sustainable system for your business. Jocelyn Wood is a pediatric speech language pathologist, media contributor, and owner of Everyday Language Co. Speech Therapy Services. She helps healthcare professionals build simple systems that make media pitching, visibility, and authority building sustainable instead of overwhelming. Jocelyn is known for teaching how to turn expertise into clear, repeatable business pitches, organized press assets, and workflows that make getting featured feel doable, even with a full caseload or busy family lives. Her work focuses on helping experts get visible on purpose to build credible and authority without burning out. Jocelyn, thank you so much for coming. Does that cover everything, or is there anything else that you would like to add before we get into media pitching?
Yeah, I know you did a great job. Thank you.
All right. So, can you tell us a little bit about what media pitching is?
Sure. So, media pitching means that you are going to approach a news source, whether that is a podcast, like right now, it could be a local media source, it could be a magazine or a blog, and you're going to pitch them an idea that resonates with their audience and that helps you to represent your services that you're offering to the community.
All right. Awesome. So, how did you kind of start getting into media pitching, and what changed for your business when you started doing that consistently?
Well, it was COVID and I was really bored. So I decided to learn a new skill. And like everybody at the time, I took an online course on media pitching and I started getting my feet wet. I sent a lot of pitches. I had a lot of free time during COVID. So I learned a lot about what to do and what not to do and started making some really great relationships with people. And I realized speech pathologists are not doing enough of this.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think there's so much in the market, and there's so many people out there who have such like specialty and experts in certain niches that this probably could be super helpful to so many listeners right now. So, why do you think is the most important reason to pitch to the media?
So once you get the hang of it, it's really quick. I can make 5 pitches in about 15 minutes. And out of those 5 pitches, 2 or 3 of them are getting accepted. And that means my name is out there in the media for my people to find me. And I'm getting in front of more people than I would normally get in front of by just posting on Instagram, where only the people that follow me are finding me. So I'm able to really get my name out there. And then that kind of has the trickle down effect of getting me featured in other media.
Awesome. So, you've been teaching media as a system, not just as maybe a one time effort for business owners. So, what does a sustainable media pitching system actually look like? And maybe how do you teach this?
Sure. I think it's really important for speech pathologists to find sustainable marketing. And what that means is you don't want to be reinventing the wheel every week. You want to have a system that is quick and easy and you don't stress out about doing it. And so, what that looks like I said, just 15 minutes, finding the pitches that are interesting for you at the time. And I teach 2 types of media pitching. I teach editorial requests, which means responding to people who are already looking for you that need your particular skill set. So people might say, I need a speech pathologist that works with pediatric patients. And you're like, oh, wait, that's me. And it's already done for you. The other type is cold pitching. And that's when you have an idea for an article that is really going to resonate with a news source and you pitch them that idea so that you would write an entire article. And that just lends a little bit extra credibility to you. But once you figure out how to do those things, they're very easy to repeat because you have a formula and you're able to use that formula to duplicate your success and get more media features. And once you start working with editors and they know that you're going to have quick turnarounds and give them the information that they're looking for, they come directly to you, and it can even turn into paid opportunities.
Oh, wow. So, maybe when you first started, how did you find these people to cold pitch to or just like to market yourself to?
So my first step was to make a spreadsheet, and I work with pediatric patients. So I knew I wanted to get into the places where parents are so that they can find articles that are going to help them. I made a list of 50 different news sources. It went from more local. I'm in Brooklyn, so Brooklyn parenting sites that I thought would be a good fit for my audience, all the way to Parents Magazine, which was my reach at the time. And I've now been featured in Parent 3 different times. So it does work and it's successful. And then on those people's website, they're not hiding anything. They tell you exactly how to find them. And they also tell you what types of articles they're looking for. So you're able to really figure out how to tweak your pitches to make them fit for that news source.
Oh, wow. That is something I didn't know about. And I'm sure that's also helpful for you when you're building kind of your own resume of different features. And for people who are building websites, like those backlinks are really important for SEO. So it's just kind of helping you even in your Google searches and stuff like that. So, what are some core components that you think someone needs or should get started with?
Sure. So the first thing that you need to do is get that spreadsheet. I have a free spreadsheet that people can use, and it's a really great way to figure out where you want to get featured. And I like to do a mix of local and national because local is a little bit easier, national is a little bit of a reach, but you'll find where your audience is. After you find that, the other component of the spreadsheet is thinking about topics that you feel really confident speaking about, whether there's something that you're doing clinically, something that comes up in the news. For example, a topic that comes up really often is about children watching television. And what is a speech pathologist perspective on children watching television? You can find a topic. It's going to be Valentine's Day. So you could say 5 ways to use speech and language in Valentine's Day activities. You'll get your topics and then you'll follow the formula to write your pitches. And once you have that down, you can keep track of who is responding to you and tweak your message accordingly.
Oh, very cool. And as far as like the formula, can you maybe outline some like key components of what that formula would look like?
Yeah. So, most importantly, you want it to be short and to the point. Nobody has time to read something really long. But I would say the other most important component is to make the pitch about the media source and how it's going to be helpful for their audience, not so much how it's going to be helpful for you. So, I saw that you wrote an article on children watching television. I have this follow up that I am going to pitch you that's really helpful for your audience about specific television shows that do boost speech and language skills. And here are some ideas that I have for that article. The clearer that you can be about what it is that you're looking to write or to provide to them, the easier it is for them to say yes.
So would you say it's more about selling yourself or selling a solution, a mix of both?
I
Um,
would say
yeah.
selling the solution is going to be really helpful because ultimately, at the end of the day, you both want to help people. And this is how you can work together to do it. Most media sources don't care that you've never written for the media before. They like your credentials.
Interesting. So, what do you think some are the biggest mistakes are that I'm sure we all, when we're starting something new, we go through the same kind of learning process. So, what would you give as advice to avoid?
Okay. So never ever pitch the same article to 2 different media sources at the same time because they both might say yes, and then you're in trouble because you can't write the same article twice. I teach different ways that you can tweak that messaging a little bit so that you're offering something slightly different to each so that you won't run into that problem. The other big thing is talking too much about yourself and what your practice is. You have space to promote yourself and your business in your byline, but when you're pitching to the media, you really want to focus on how you're going to help that media audience.
Okay. So do you think it's ever important in the, I don't know, somewhere else in your system to kind of talk more about yourself, or it should be people, you are talking about what your solution is for people and purely your credentials?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Providing the solution and then provide the credentials. And a byline is at the end of every news article, there's like a little biography of you. And so in that section, you can be like, hey, I run this robust practice, and these are some of the things that I offer right now. Here's how you can find me. So you do have an opportunity to eventually speak about yourself, but I wouldn't do that when you're pitching for the first time.
Okay, awesome. That's really great advice. So, for any SLP who's listening and maybe thinking, why should I care about trying to reach out and do some of these features? What does media pitching actually do for your business?
Okay. So, like I said, it's so easy and it's so quick, but this is the way to get eyes on your business. You brought up the backlinks. So, this is the way to take most SLPs are sitting somewhere at like a 5 authority score, which means the internet doesn't really trust you. Once the internet starts trusting you more, you get pulled up higher in searches. And just by media pitching, by having one feature, you're already at a 10. You have the correct types of backlinks that are leading to you and showing that you're an expert. So more people are finding you on Google searches. In addition to that, the people who are reading the article are also clicking through and finding you. So if you have online offers, it's a really great way for them to connect with you and to get that offer from you. If you're pitching more locally, it's also a really great way for your neighbors to find out about your services and to know that you exist.
Okay, that's awesome. So how are different ways that you've seen it transforming your business? Can you think back on like one or two things that maybe you wrote or a podcast you were a part of and really saw like a big shift in your, maybe in the way that you were an authority figure too in the space?
Sure. So I did an article again during COVID. It was featured in the Bump, and that led to having 15 new people register for an online course that I had for parents talking about language development. The other great thing that piece did was it led to an ongoing paid gig with the Bump where I get paid to check over their articles and make sure that they're accurate for how people are presenting speech and language deficits.
Awesome. So is there a way that maybe you, if you don't want to constantly, like you said, like reinvent the wheel, are there different ways that you take that content that you're making for these sources and repurpose it in different ways?
Yeah, so it becomes a great way for you to make your social media posts and say like, "Hey, I was featured here." But they also make really great blog posts. You, of course, can't use the same exact article, but you can talk about the same topic and then you can link back to that article. So, again, you're providing extra backlinks and juice for that SEO so that you're kind of spinning those wheels and getting everything connected. They also make really great carousels. So, you could take the information that you wrote about and turn them into a carousel. So, you're getting all these different pieces of content off of one thing that you're doing. And if you're just doing editorial pitching and you're getting featured, you have a whole article to go off of and you're featured for maybe like 2 or 3 sentences in there, but it gives you a lot of really great content.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, social media sometimes can feel like the always hungry beast that you're trying to feed. So if you're doing all of this work for to be featured in other places, that's really great on different tips to be able to try to get that into like your own feed. And also that builds your own social media as well, as far as people can see like your credible sources and other people want to hear from you and your expertise. So, for someone who is listening, maybe they feel a little overwhelmed at how they're going to start all this. What do you think is just one thing that they could do this week? I know you mentioned starting out with that spreadsheet, looking for some local places. Do you have maybe any advice on how they can start building more of that pitch, or even how they could start leveraging that into some paid gigs?
Yeah. So for this week, what I want you to do is to get that spreadsheet and come up with 10 different places that you want to pitch. I want them to be a combination of local, whatever your neighborhood media is, as well as more national. You do want some reaches in there. And then come up with 3 to 5 topics. You can use things that are timely, things that are featured in the news. We can talk about the Super Bowl performance and, what it means to infuse cultural identity into music and how that impacts speech and language development. You can get really creative with it, or you can take a tried and true topic, 5 different ways that sign language can boost language development in early childhood. And you're going to mix and match where you're sending those pitches so that right off the bat, you have 15 different pitches ready to go.
Awesome. Well, that feels a little more doable to take some of those baby steps to start. Could you also tell us if anyone's interested in your programs and your services? Can you tell people a little bit more about what that entails and how they can connect with you about that?
Sure. So I teach a live program. It is 1 hour. It's called PitchRx. It is your prescription for being featured in the media. We go through how you can set up this formula for yourself. So it's easy to do, it's easy to duplicate, and you are not reinventing the wheel every time. We go over how you can turn your features into social media and blog posts and really make them work for your SEO. And we go through and create a byline. I also help you find where your best niche is so that you know exactly where you should start pitching. And the last time I taught the class was December. And out of that course, my students have been featured over 30 times. And I only have
That's
10 students
amazing.
taking it at a time, but the turnaround is really quick. You're not waiting an eternity. The features just start coming.
That's really amazing. I'm so happy to hear that about the success of your students. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We covered so much today, what media pitching really is, why it matters for SLPs to stand out in the market. You shared about why pitching consistently can really transform your business and how visibility can really work as a way to transform your business. And the biggest takeaway I really had from that is that you don't really need to wait until you're ready and have everything perfect. You have your program and you give some really great actionable steps that people can start at any time. So, where can everyone maybe find and connect with you on Instagram or your website?
Sure. So the easiest way to find me is on Instagram at Systems with JWoww. And my website is my business site, but I have some coaching stuff on there. Also, it's www.everydaylanguageco.com.
Awesome. Jocelyn, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciated all of your expertise and different steps that you had for our listeners. Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.